You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. It's August 2nd, 2021, and that means it's time for Mickey Fulp's monthly major market review. And what a month it was. Mickey, it's great to have you back on. Hey, don't forget, you find him at mercenarygeologist.com. Sign up for his notifications. So what can you say about the stock markets this month, Mickey?
Well, we continued with all-time highs, although all the markets were off last week on some less than stellar or disappointing economic data from the U.S. Across the board. And once again, wishy-washy Fed speak from Powell. The exception was the Russell 2000, and it's kind of in neutral right now. Let's go through the numbers. The Dow closed at 34,935, up 1.3%, but it hit 35,000 in the third week of the month. S&P 500 closed at 43,995, down from its record of plus 4,400 during the month, but that's still a 2.2% gain. Nasdaq closed up 1.1% at 14,672, and the Russell 2000, the small cap index, it's not performed very well for the last 4 or 5 months, as opposed to the other major U.S. markets. It closed at 2226, down 3.7% on the month.
All right. And so then we move on. And, of course, the VIX is kind of sending a little mixed signal here, isn't it?
Yeah, it was actually around 15 to 16 most of the month. Mid-month, when we had a couple of days when markets were off big time, it surged actually above 20, but it finished the last week of the month in the 18 to 19 range, and that's right around the mean and median for that metric since 1990. Going on to Canadian markets, Toronto Stock Exchange, it's basically flat and at 20,286, up about 0.5%. But it's been in this low 20,000 range for the last couple of months. Toronto's Venture Exchange got hit by the summer doldrums. It actually had a rally toward the end of last week. It closed at 926, down 3.5% on really low volumes. The summer doldrums has really hit that market strongly. And the big loser on the month was the emerging market index, closed down 7% to 1278 as China continues to struggle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you never know what's really happening in China. Maybe they're getting their own Delta variant, but they're having massive flooding there now again. We'll see if the big dam holds up. They've been blowing up dams there for the past month, Mickey.
Understand, Kerry.
Hey, so we look at our money here and the dollar. What do you say about the dollar?
Well, it was above 93, and it got hit toward the end of last week with bad economic data across the board, one metric after another. Closed at 92.20. That's only down 15 basis points on the month. Euro was basically flat at 119, rounded up. 10-year Treasury is the big story, with the interest rates down 20 basis points, closed at 1.25%, down 14% on the month, as real interest rates in the U.S. go even more negative. And we talked a bit about this before we went on today. John Williams, who we both follow, Shadow Government Statistics, who John's a very interesting character. He calculates U.S. government metrics kind of the old-fashioned way. So for inflation, he uses a methodology during the early years of the Reagan administration in 1980. And according to him, inflation is 13.5%. And that looks like stagflation coming. Go to the grocery store and see shrinkflation. Gasoline prices up 50% from last year. So to me, 13.5% makes a lot more sense out of my pocketbook than 5.4 or whatever the government says it is right now. And finally, Bitcoin gained a whopping 18% of its greater than 60% losses, from 64,000 went down to $30,000 per Bitcoin. It closed the month up almost 19% to $41,388 per Bitcoin.
Hey, what can you say? You always say we like volatility.
Embrace volatility.
Yeah. Hey, well, it just reminded me, your bit about inflation. Remember Will Rogers used to say, invest in inflation. It's the only thing going up, right?
Since the Fed came on board in 1913, Kerry.
Yeah, it seems like just yesterday, doesn't it? So let's look at our metals here, and what do you say? It's just like watching paint dry here.
Yeah, well, this is the summer doldrum season for gold, and we certainly have seen that this year. Did not exist in 2019 and 20.
Correct.
But what happened this month, it ranged plus or minus $1,800. Ended up on the top end of that as the U.S. dollar took a hit last week. Closed at 18.14, up 2.5% on the month. Silver, platinum, and palladium all lost on the month. Silver, 25.45. Down 2.5%, platinum down 2.1% to 10.43, and palladium continues very high. Ended the month at 25.97, down 4% on the month. Going over to Dr. Copper, quite a interesting month for Dr. Copper. Had a high of 445, a low of 416, but it really had a couple of really nice weeks. And the end of the month went from the aforementioned 416, closed the month at 441, up 4%. Part of that last week was driven by hopes for a U.S. infrastructure deal. We'll see if they can get that through both houses in Congress intact. Not a fan of that infrastructure bill, obviously. And then supply fears came to the forefront last week with Chile. 3 big mines voted to strike. The strikes have not happened yet, but they certainly rejected contracts from the big mining companies.
Yeah, well, that was to be expected after the change of government in Chile, which is the largest copper producer in the world. Hey,
Indeed.
So I want to go back to palladium. Now, we got this electrification coming. Every car, every scooter on the planet is going to run on electric, every golf cart.
Really?
Well, that's the theme. That's the meme. But the price of palladium seems to be telling us something different, doesn't it?
Don't just survive, thrive. The Financial Survival Network.
Torque Resources is an exploration company establishing a portfolio of premier copper-gold early-stage projects in Chile. Torque's management and technical teams have a strong track record of raising capital, discovery, and monetization of exploration successes. The company's Margarita copper-gold project is located within the prolific coastal Cordillera Belt in Chile, which hosts some of the world's largest and most profitable copper mines. The Margarita project possesses excellent discovery potential for a major copper discovery due to the strength of the alteration system, large-scale magnetic targets, and the presence of copper oxide mineralization. Drilling is anticipated to begin in Q3 of this year. Torque trades in Canada under TORQ and on the OTC under TRBMF. To learn more, go to torqueresources.com. That's torqueresources.com.
This is the Financial Survival Network, the information you need to thrive now more than ever.
Well, it certainly does. And I looked up some numbers coincidentally. The penetration of electric vehicle market in the U.S. remains abysmal. I don't see it happening anytime soon. In New Mexico, it is the 35th state in terms of electric vehicles per 1,000 people, and that stands at a whopping 1.16 electric vehicles per 1,000 people in the state of New Mexico. And right now, I think there's something on the order of 158 charging stations. So at this stage, the infrastructure just isn't there. And, I don't see anybody driving their F-150s, F-250s, F-350s, which are the most popular vehicles in New Mexico, the F-150. That's not going to change anytime soon, Kerry.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised. But look, looking at it, though, the market's really telling us that this is a pipe dream. I think palladium prices in particular are saying not so fast, right? Not
exactly.
So fast.
That's the point. Certainly electric vehicles are going to achieve more penetration in the market. I would dare say the U.S. is going to drag its feet on those. China is going full bore on that program, but U.S. is a big country. People drive. I mean, how can you take a summer road trip right now, which is the great American summertime passion? Is the great American road
You're making
trip.
Me laugh here.
And you can't do that in an electric vehicle, Kerry, at this stage.
You can do it, but you have to add an extra day if you're going cross country, right?
Yeah,
because,
right.
Because,
you can go 200 kilometers, and then you've got to recharge, and it takes 30 minutes to recharge. Yeah. People aren't going to do that. You get in a car and you drive 800 miles a day, if you're going cross country.
Hey. Yeah, it's a little too pat. But the new Tesla is supposedly 400 miles on a charge, which actually means 400 less 20%, because you can't go less than 20% of the battery, 10 at the most. So you're looking at 320 miles to a charge, but you get to meet all these other Tesla owners when you go charge at the station. So I guess that makes it all worthwhile, right?
Yeah. I mean, you and I both grew up in the age of load the kids in the station wagon, get in the car, and take 2 days to drive. In our case, from the Ozarks of Missouri to Long Beach, California, and it was balls to the wall.
Yeah.
My dad insisted we get up at 4 every morning and start the drive.
Our fathers must have been cut from the same cloth. I remember the trip from New Jersey to Miami Beach, Florida, and took 2 days because 95 was like partially constructed, and you had to get on and off the interstate in various places, like from like New Jersey down to like D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, everything was good, but then it all went to hell in the Carolinas and Georgia and Florida. But in any event, hey, try it with an EV and see how much fun that is. Speaking of cars, well, you can't talk about cars without talking about energy here. And what a month it wasn't, huh?
Yeah, energy oil prices were quite volatile on the month. Got as low as $68 for WTI. As high, well over $74. Closed at the top end of that at $73.62, but only up 15 cents on the month. The volatility was caused by OPEC plus Russia production cuts. That ended up being 400,000 barrels a day. The market realize that's a drop in the bucket. Fears that the Biden administration would do something with easing sanctions on Iran as a new president came in. So far, that has not happened. And once again, Biden's America last oil and gas policies, Russia first, America last, with the approval along with Merkel of the Nord 2 pipeline, which opens Russian gas into Eastern and Western Europe, avoiding Ukraine. So all that led to some volatility. Brent closed at 76.05. It had a better month, up 1.2%. The big news from the oil and gas patch, petroleum patch, if you will, was Henry Hub gas on a very hot time in the city. What was that? Love and Spoonful's hot town, summer in the city.
Back in my
we
neck,
certainly experienced that over the month. Henry Hub closed at 406, up 11% on the month. You have to go back to November of 2018 for the last blip above $4, and you've got to go to 2014 before the oil crash to see sustained prices above $4 for Henry Hub gas.
Yeah, that was a shocker. But, you know, the Natgas market always seems to anticipate the weather trends here. And we've been watching it go up. I mean, in March, it was at 261. So that is quite an increase. You know, seeing that 6 months, 5 months, that kind of increase. And usually it's reserved for the winter. We don't generally see Natgas do that in the summer, but here we are. So interesting.
Indeed.
Interesting. So finally, uranium. What can you say about uranium?
Well, over the last 8 weeks, here's what I'm going to say. Uranium has been flat. It's varied from $32.34 per pound, plus or minus 9 cents. So we saw this last year during the summer where uranium prices basically flatlined, and we've seen it again this year. It was up a dime on the month.
Up a dime, so 32.43. And finally, that brings us to our ratios. And one of particular note?
Well, we're going to talk about, we'll give you the numbers. We'll talk about a couple of ratios. The gold-silver ratio closed the month at 71.3. That's the first time it has been above 70 this entire year. December 31st closed at 72. Platinum to gold closed the month at 0.57. Platinum to palladium, 0.4. Brent to WTI was up a tick to 1.03. I wanted to talk a bit about WTI to Henry Hub. It went below 20 for the first time this year, closed at 18.1 as Henry Hub had that big move up. And finally, gold to WTI closed at 24.6.
All right. Well, interesting numbers for sure. And the fact that the gold to silver ratio is going up, I don't know. What do you make of that?
Well, it only went up a couple of ticks. It's been in that upper 60 range. So silver was off, gold was up.
Yeah.
Not out of the ordinary.
Yeah, nothing earth-shaking there. So that's it for this month. Make sure you go over to Mickey's site, which is mercenarygeologist.com. Sign up for his Twitter feed, which is @mercenarygeo. While you're at it, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Sign up for our newsletter and our Twitter feeds @Kerry Lutz. And Mickey, happy August, and we'll talk to you in September.
Okay, time to go for a road trip, Kerry.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.